Okay. Everybody can hear, correct? Meg, can you hear okay?
Yes, I can. It sounds great.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, if anybody can't hear, please let us know. We want to make sure that everybody's hearing this. We're also recording this session. I had to do a couple quick things there to make sure that everything's working right. And then also, guys, so Meg is going to be here to speak about how they use text messaging in Santa Barbara County WIC. And then at the end of this set, we're also going to have a little demonstration. So we'll look at the user interface, and you'll be able to actually opt in and test it with your mobile phone. So make sure you have your mobile phone with you. If you're on your mobile phone for the webinar, you can also, if you have a smartphone, you can opt in at the same time and give it a try. Regardless, if you don't want to opt in, that's fine. You don't have to participate on that level. But during that demonstration period of time, you will be able to actually opt in if you'd like. And then at the end of the session, we'll invite everybody to ask any of the questions that they have. And so we'll have write-in questions at that point. All right? Okay. So here are some texting trends. So this is some stats that we've pulled over the past several years that tell you exactly how much texting in the texting landscape has changed. Americans under 55 now text more than they talk on the phone and email combined. So we text a lot, and it's not just your younger populations anymore. I mean, the people who grew up texting are now, some of them in their late 20s, 30s. They're having children, families. I mean, this is the group now that is have WIC services, and this Gen Y population, the millennials as well, are absolutely using text to often the exclusion of other channels. Over 70% of Americans prefer text over phone for live help. So if they had the option, there's just not the infrastructure, right? So if you're able to provide live help by text, 70% of Americans would prefer that. And of course, women, Gen Y women, and then minorities are text even higher at higher rates. Over 98% of texts are opened in the first 5 minutes of receiving them. So absolutely amazing read rates. And that's, one of the reasons we have that is there are rules and regulations about texting. You don't get a lot of spam texts. If you do, your number has been put into some sort of a list, right? And you get these offers, and you never get these random unsolicited texts from short codes, the shorter numbers. And that's for good reason. They're not allowed to do that, right? And nobody is. It's the Can Spam Act of 2003. So if you are getting unsolicited texts, you can report that to your carrier. They all come from 10-digit numbers, and you'll get, one day from one 10-digit number with an area code, and then the next day with a totally different area code. So, be careful. And also, if you ever text or use text to a 10-digit number, that can expose your number to spamming. So be careful. Be careful of what you text to. If you can, always text to a short code. If you're gonna text with an agency like your bank or your dentist or somebody, any of your health and human service agencies, make sure you're texting with a short code, and that's going to protect you. Over 100 million U.S. households no longer own a landline. I mean, this is amazing, right? People were told by their carriers, it's okay. You don't have to have your landline anymore. You can use your phone for everything. And 80% of all web browsing in the U.S. is happening on smartphones, which is an astonishing rate, right? So people are going home. They're not necessarily buying home internet. They're using their smartphone and their data plan for all of their web browsing. That's why you see things like, you join AT&T and get unlimited streaming of Netflix or something like that as part of the package. They know this. They know the stat. They know that people are going home and they're going online with their smartphone rather than getting internet services at home, because that's a separate cost. WICs pay on average 80 cents per text encounter. Two-way conversations. So I'm talking about two-way back and forth conversations, whereas a call can cost as much as $20, right? So there's tremendous potential cost savings in having your encounters happening by text. Individuals who grew up texting are now adults. This group that is seeking human services and resources with the expectation that these services be accessible by text. And you know, we've been working with WICs now for several years, and one of the things they say is, gosh, we give them a call, and then we give them another call, and then we try to leave them a voicemail. Some don't even have their voicemail activated, set up, right? And a few years ago, we would have said, what? Why would you not set up your voicemail? But some people don't. They simply just don't do it. So you can't, in some cases, you can't even leave a voicemail. If you do, a lot of times you get a message like the voicemail is full. It's because they're probably not checking their voicemails. It's just an amazing group. But text, they'll read it in the first 5 minutes of getting it, and they're right there, right? They're right with you. Studies on text behavior report that subjects prefer texting when dealing with emotional issues. So this is a tangential phenomenon of texting, that if we're talking about health-related issues or financial-related issues, like I have to talk about my personal finance, anything like that, it would be preferred if I could do that over text. There's this heightened sense of privacy that people have. And so, you know, you never know when you might have to talk about something about their application or something like that. They might be in a public place when they're on the phone. Being able to text with them with these quick back and forth scenarios is actually a preferred way, and can save them maybe time, save you time, and then also make them feel more comfortable about talking about those things. All right. Gen Y, women text more than any other group. So we know this, and it's the minorities that text even at higher rates. So the Latino women are texting probably the most out of everybody in the United States. We make it super simple to onboard. We have open source posters, web banners, business cards, things like that. So you don't have to have a marketing budget. You can start to advertise texting at your agency and how your caseload can communicate with you. And you wouldn't have any additional charge. You can ask for any of the materials, open source. You can ask for the images, high resolution images sent to you, whatever you like. All right, this is the things that you get when you have texting with PreventionPays text. So live one-on-one texting for live help. Don't be fooled about this. Live one-on-one texting, what we mean by that is two-way conversational texting. The ability to have a conversation just like you do with your phone and your friends and your family, but it's all through a computer system and a secure website. So you can also have concurrent conversations spread across multiple people. So you could have staff on the queue, kind of like on an email inbox, and managing conversations and having multiple conversations at one time. You know, other texting services might say, oh yeah, you can have two-way. Well, you know, what they might mean is that there's a message that goes out automatically if they reply to one of their appointment reminders or something like that. We're talking about two-way conversational texting where both parties are engaged in a live way. Reminders and auto responses to keywords. So you can have hours of operation, opt-in messages, several opt-in messages. So when they text a certain keyword, they get a series of messages that welcome them, greet them. Automated surveys. So this is a automated two-way exchange that's with the system and the end user. So you can have quality assurance. You can have eligibility surveys. You can have automated surveys that you assign as part of a conversation. Like maybe you have an eligibility survey that you can assign to a client while you're in a conversation mode, and then go help somebody else while they answer that little automated survey. That's all through texting. So all the automated surveys are either assignable at the point when they opt in, or at the point when you have that delayed, or it can be assigned by the staff member. And surveys can be used for rescheduling appointments. Quick little two-way exchange that says, do you prefer mornings or afternoon, which day of the week? And then suddenly you've got the person who needed to reschedule all ready to get their new appointment. And it was all done in an automated exchange. Reminder series. So this is what, and let's go back, Meg, and to the live one-on-one texting. Let's talk about how your agency, Santa Barbara County, uses the live one-on-one texting before we go to the reminder series.
Sure. So I'll go over the two sections we have, which kind of mixes a little bit of one of your other ones. Is our we sew in and welcome everyone. Nice to have you, by the way. In 2011, our peer counselor program started this two-way texting system, and so it has two parts. So automated messages go out from this texting platform to the participant's cell phone, and they get the message, and then they can text back, and it goes back to a computer system which is web-based, where our peer counselors type on their computer and answer their questions, and it goes back and forth like that. But they also get these set breastfeeding messages that start at 12 weeks. They get a message every other week, and then at 26 weeks they get one every week, and then postpartum they'll get 2 a week until 10 weeks postpartum. So that was one great way to get breastfeeding related messages to the participants and save our peer counselors time and money, so they could work with solving problems, getting them in for help, low level problems, issuing pumps, referring them to the lactation consultant. So it freed up a lot of the education time to deal with the actual problems, and that's definitely a money saver and a time saver for everyone. So automated messages go out. That's one section. The other section is there's a two-way conversation. And we know that this generation, Gen Y, or I like to call them millennials or Gen Y, same group, two different names. They want to know someone's at the end of that message. They do not want just one-way conversations. And they're at work, they're somewhere, they just don't like to talk on the phone anymore. So they just, texting is what they want to do. So if our breastfeeding peer counselor has a section of this platform, and like I said, since 2001, it's been working great.
2011.
2011, excuse me. Yeah, for 7 years. Thank you. It's been working great.
Yeah.
And then a few years ago, we adopted it for WIC appointment reminders. So right now, almost all WIC staff can sit at their desk during work hours, and well, I guess that's your set ones. You'll go over that in a second. We do have set ones that go out, appointment reminders, and then they start texting back, and there's someone, all 4 sites have 4 or 5 people sitting there in between participants, and they answer their text questions right away. Appointment changes, confirming different information. We do a little bit of classes on the text. We'll do, it's remarkable. We have participants all the time say, thank you so much for having texting, and we're not even prompting them. They're just so thankful they can get an answer. We've actually cut down our phone person to part-time, and because everybody's going texting and not phone. It's just the preferred method. So we're meeting the needs of what our participants want. And I spoke at Texas State WIC one time, and it just, it was just about WIC. We need to be seen as credible, and they pick up on this so fast. If we're not credible, they're just going to go on to someone else. So that really stuck with me all these years, that we need to be credible. And the texting's, it's not something extra or special. It's the norm right now, and we all need to be doing it. All right.
Thank you. And that appointment reminders, we have a little plus by that, because what Meg was talking about is they can send out automated appointment reminders, but then also they're inviting the moms to cancel or confirm, right? So a part of that appointment reminder is that option and then they have staff that are monitoring the responses. So if they confirm, no problem, move on, they're going to come to their appointment. If they need to cancel, well, then the staff will go ahead and answer that request by opening up the conversation and having a two-way exchange to reschedule, find a new time. So it's appointment reminders plus everything that happens afterwards. And so you all know that, rather than just blowing off, I mean, sending text appointment reminders is going to increase compliance. We know that. But then there's also going to be a certain percentage of people who don't come to their appointment. And so if they think that they can't text back or respond to that text, then likelihood is they're probably not going to look for a number to call. And so what we say is keep it with text. Keep it with the channel that they prefer. If they said, I want appointment reminders by text, then let them also reschedule and get their new appointment. Have that all what happens in the middle to the next appointment reminder that goes out, have all that be by text as well. And so that's what Santa Barbara County WIC has done. So they've got, on the one hand, they've got this peer counseling program, like Meg was saying, that has the educational messages going out according to a schedule, and then the peer counselors having conversations, helping their moms. That was the program and the service that has been spoken about at many conferences and in the journal that we were talking about. And this whole appointment reminder piece is just a whole other component and sector of Santa Barbara County. They have over 18,000 caseload. So they have a completely different cohort of staff who are having those conversations with the scheduling and all of that. That's really remarkable to see and be part of and have seen that over the years. And what we do is we learn from that, right? So that when we start working with a WIC, we bring all that experience of the other WICs into the conversation.
And we can run reports at the end of the month, like who didn't show up, who missed their appointment, and get that out as a special message and say, oh, you have 4 days left in the month. Oh, you have 2 days left in the month that come in. And then we'll do some like birthday ones, and we'll go back several months sometimes if they haven't come in for a while, and do that as a clump of texts that go out. So it's really, really, really efficient, really time saving, rather than calling. And we know they're not answering the phone.
Right, and just using it for, exactly right, using that automated piece for not just an appointment reminder, but missed appointments, right, and or just the fact that it's been a while since they came in, or birthday text. I mean, there's so many ways to use the automated piece that's the catalyst for the conversations.
Yes.
Yep. Also, group messaging. So you can create ad hoc groups, which is really nice. Oftentimes, the peer counselors will use this, as well as staff who you don't necessarily have to reach out to everybody. You have a subset, right? These 5 or these 50. So you can create groups of clients, phone numbers, group them together, and then send them a text and reaching out to just that one subset, that one group, and then inviting them all to text back. Like maybe if they don't text back, they're going to lose their benefits or something like that, right? So you've got a whole cohort that you build a little group around. You send out your text, and then you wait for their response, and you'd be amazed. I mean, trying to call them doesn't work. And then you send out that text, and boom, they're right there with you. And then you're having a conversation. So you use the ad hoc grouping, that tailored grouping capacity, to get you to the conversations that then keep them receiving their benefits, keep them enrolled, or keep them attending their appointments.
Yeah, it's been working.
Go ahead.
It's been working wonderfully.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything else to the peer counseling program? Anything else that you wanted to add? You want to say a little bit about the award that you guys won, and speak a little bit about that?
Uh-oh, you're cutting out on me.
Oh, I was cutting out?
Say, that's better.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
say it again.
Meg, did you have anything to add about the peer counseling program, how the peer counselors are using the texting, or the award that you guys won? Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Sure.
The USDA?
Sure. So the USDA award we won last year, one of, what did I say, 6 for the second highest level with the breastfeeding rates, up near, not above 40%, but just below it. One of the, besides policies and all the things they were looking for, was some, innovative technology. And so our texting piece, it's just a normal part of our system, but it really made us look good and showed that we're really meeting the needs of our population we serve. We also text in Spanish, so that's never a problem. That's our other big population here. Messages go out in Spanish as well as English, and we respond in Spanish. So that's been really helpful. But yeah, definitely was a key component of our award besides our breastfeeding rates, and we were just thankful to be on the cutting edge of all this. I could address really quick. A lot of you may have questions about challenges. There were definitely challenges getting it started. We had high-level administrators, who tend to be older, but not necessarily, and just did not believe in the texting in 2011 and almost didn't approve it. So administration is definitely a hurdle that you need to keep fighting for. And I'm wearing my necklace today. It says never, never, never give up. And sometimes I have to wear that several times a week, but this was definitely an area we never gave up. And we have shown that it's cost effective, it's time saving, it's what everybody's doing. So it's gotten better, but that's definitely a challenge. I understand whole states can't text within WIC, and a confidentiality issue is a big factor, but these are opt-in. This is not your telephone numbers. This is completely 100% HIPAA secured, and they have to choose to opt in, and it's completely safe. So I've been around with the USDA, state WIC, our IT people, our HIPAA people, and they've never found anything because it's completely secure. So that's definitely peace of mind, and definitely a selling factor. I never have to worry about any audits. We're always good. So that might be a couple questions you might have.
Thank you. And speaking of security, this is the security protocols that we use. So it's SSL, the website itself, and then we use co-located servers. And
you're cutting out a little bit, John.
We use co-located servers, and am I still cutting out?
No, it's better now.
Okay. And so, and all of the servers are dedicated in data centers that we have thumbprint access to only. So if your IT has any questions about security, we also have a white paper that provides all of the specs. So it helps IT figure out exactly how the service works real quickly. And that white paper is available open source. We put all of this information on an FTP Google Drive so that anyone can have access to it as well. So if you need to look at how services are being used, or how and learn more about how you might use texting and want examples, we'll send around that FTP link to everyone who participated today, so that you can have a look at all the wonderful ways that texting is being used by WICs. Opt-in and out and user privacy, we talked about that. At the end of this session, we'll be able to demo it. So we'll be able to text my WIC to 85511, and you'll actually see how that works, the opt-in piece. And then the opt-out piece is just simply texting stop or quit or unsubscribe, and that will automatically opt the person out at the end of the session, or at the end of if they no longer want to get messages, it opts them out, and that prevents any further messages from going to them. And then message tracking. So we use tier 1 message tracking. So this means that all of the outgoing texts get a delivery receipt, and it's referred to as carrier grade message delivery receipts. Like, let's say your client is with AT&T, or let's say they're T-Mobile. When that message goes out, T-Mobile alerts us that the message was first received by them, and then we get a secondary code that says we actually delivered it to that mobile handset, that phone. So if you ever have a client that says, oops, I didn't get my text and you were supposed to text me, you can look up their mobile number, you can find it in the system, and you can look at the delivery receipts. Then the argument isn't about whether or not the message was delivered, it becomes about whether or not you have the right mobile number for them. So message delivery receipts are a critical piece of the system, the service. Also, please note that we have auto retry. Like, let's say that for whatever reason we get a message from the carrier that says unable to deliver, but it's temporary. So this might happen. It used to happen more when there were fewer towers, people were roaming, or some people, when they turned off their phone, they couldn't get a text, some of the older phones. So if it's temporary, we auto retry and until we get a delivery receipt from that carrier. So every 5 minutes is an auto retry. So you don't even have to worry about trying to resend a message that was temporarily undeliverable.
Nice.
Okay, now we're going to jump online and we're going to have a look at the user interface. We're going to be able to show you quickly how the opt-in happens, and then we'll also show you how you can send out an appointment reminder and simulate a conversation that comes from or a conversation that happens as a result of an appointment reminder. So if you have your phone now, you take it out and you text, and in the message or who you're sending to the number 85511. And then in the message part, the part that you're typing your text, you're just going to text the word my WIC, and then you'll send that. And I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. And you're welcome to do this with your phone. At the end of the time, you can text stop to opt out, and you won't get any more messages, and you'll see how the opt out works as well. So all I'm doing is I'm pulling open my phone, and I'm going to send a text to 85511. In that text, I'm just going to type my WIC, and then you'll get a series of messages that will go to you and tell you a little bit about the program, the service. And then we'll jump online, we'll have a look at the user interface, see how that looks. And so you can see what it actually looks like from the perspective of the staff member. Okay, so one more time, again, you're pulling open your phone, you're texting to 85511, and in the message part, you're sending my WIC. Okay, now we'll jump online. Okay, so this is a demo site. We'll see over here, this, guys, is the queue, right? This shows you all of your incoming texts. And so kind of like your email inbox, this gives you a view of all incoming texts as they come in. You can sort your queue. You can look at the top 3 or the top 15, right? And then it shows you all of the people who are opting in, right? All of these. And if you have a big promotional thing, or if you add, let's say you're just getting started and we're migrating your mobile listserv and we're putting them into the software, you can actually see as your thousands and thousands of caseload fill up the queue, fill up that inbox. It's amazing to watch. It's kind of like if you've ever rebuilt your email inbox and you see it kind of materialize. That's how this text queue works, especially when we're first doing it. It's magical. It's watching your Rolodex be created live. If you think about the inbox kind of like your email inbox, and then right down the middle of the page is all of the two-way or the push messages that go out. So you'll see right down the middle the conversation, and then over on the right-hand side are the characteristics that are tied to the client you're viewing. So if I pick this phone number, for instance, this 831 number, the green one indicates the one I'm looking at, and then over on the right-hand side are the attributes, right? The characteristics of the phone number, the name of the person who owns that number, what keyword they're opted into, and then notes. We talk about, the notes that, this isn't the text box. This isn't for sending text. This is for adding a note about the client. So that when you pull open their record, you have details about their profile in addition to their phone number and the keywords they're opted into. And then you've got also data markers. And some of these data markers are auto-populated based on adding the client to the software. So you can auto-populate data markers, and it can be any number of columns in that Excel spreadsheet. So we recommend, of course, as much data as possible, because anything that you put in data markers section becomes a searchable element. So you can search them up by their client ID or their language. You can create groups around that. So whatever goes into the notes section or the data markers section becomes something that you can text them by or search them by, or, like I said, build an ad hoc group around. Really terrific. And what we do is we, in exporting your data from your data system, we make sure that we get as many columns as possible in addition to the mobile phone and the name of the client, so that we can match that up as best we can, right? So that is, whatever columns you have, we can create a mirror column in the database in PreventionPays. And then down below all of that, I'm going to actually hide this attributes top part to look down here. This is surveys in series. So this is where you can assign surveys, right? So I'm going to simulate. I'm going to send out a appointment reminder to this client, and we'll see how that goes out to the client. So that appointment reminder, and then we'll see that appear in this 831 WIC here. You have an upcoming appointment at Westside Clinic Friday, August 31st, 2 p.m. Need to cancel, reschedule? Text Y to confirm or N to cancel. So I'm going to go ahead and text in, and we'll actually see what that looks like. I'm going to reply. I'm going to reply in. Simple. Keeping it simple, right? Not complicated to do that. And then now I've got at the top, front and center, the no response. So you're going to be notified of which ones are replying. And then you can open up this case and have a conversation with this client, or you can assign a survey. And a survey might be a reschedule appointment survey. So if I assign this reschedule appointment survey, rather than having a conversation with them, then I might be saving additional time. So let's go ahead and do that. Reschedule appointment survey. So I just assigned that. I think so. There we go. So it appears right here as current reschedule appointment. Don't worry, you can't doubly assign over and over again surveys and hit the client over and over again with the same survey. And then there it goes. It fires off automatically. If you're clicked on the client, you'll actually see it happening. So, hi, we see you want to reschedule. Which do you prefer, mornings or afternoons? Text 1 for morning. Again, keeping it simple. 1 for morning, or 2 for afternoon, or 3 for either is fine. So I'll go ahead and pick 3. I'm flexible. So then that comes back from the client. The blue is from the client. The green is from the system, or you, the responder. And then the next question will go out based on the response, right? So it's a intelligent survey in that it can have skip patterns. Which day of the week do you prefer? Text 1 for Monday, 2 for Tuesday, 3 for Wednesday, 4 for 5 for Friday, or 6 for any day of the week is fine, right? So I'll pick 6. And then once I reply back, I get a final message. And then the next message I'm probably going to get is my new appointment time. And that was all done in a fully automated way. Now, if I need to have a conversation with the client, I can search for them just by doing a search here. I can also open up this client and have a conversation with them, right? And over here on the right, I've got custom canned phrases. So if a client texts in and has a question, I can fine tune my canned phrases to coincide with how we provide live help. I can also have personal canned messages, ones that just I see when I log in and I respond to clients. So, and then you can have general reschedule appointment canned phrases, right? All the phrases that you use for those types of encounters. And then any canned phrases are editable by you guys, by your staff. Your personal messages are edited just by you. Very simple to use, and canned phrases can be incredibly powerful, especially if you're doing repetitive conversations with clients. The more you work on that and fine tune that, the more successful you're going to be in getting through conversations in a quick and efficient way. So also, if I want to group clients, I can group clients by data markers, notes that I created, and super simple to do that. So I can go to Groups tab, I can go Show, and I can go New, and then I can just add whatever clients I want to into a group, right? And then save that group. Oops, I need to name it. I'll tell you need to name it. Special group. Missed. Something like that. And then I save that group, and now I've got a custom group. Super simple. My special missed appointment group right there. I can edit it, and then I can send content to it. So special missed appointment group. Hey, you missed your appointment. Please reply ASAP so we can get you. Thank you. And then if I don't put a future date and time, it will just go out immediately or in the next few moments to the 6 people who are in that group. There we go. So everybody who I stuck in that group, if you saw your phone number in that group, well, you're going to get that text in a few moments. I just got it. And then the process shows you your process group text. So group texting is phenomenal. And being able to quickly assemble groups of any group of mobile numbers, sort your client roster, create a client roster that is comprehensive of everything that's in the system. So just by running an all users report, if I pop over to reports and I go new report and I go all users, well, that's going to give me a comprehensive report export of all my mobile phone numbers, names, if they have any educational messages, how many are unsent, what keyword, when they started, if they've had any conversational text. So a snapshot of all of the people who are getting text messages from us. So there's just so many ways to use texting, and that's what the software does, is enable you to use texting with your population in your caseload in whatever ways you can think of, literally. Okay, Meg, did you have anything to add based on the demonstration that we did and based on how your team is using the appointment reminders, the conversational texting?
No, it looks good. I see someone was interested in some of the breastfeeding messages, what they look like. So I was trying to see how I could put that in a question so everybody could see it, but we could send that out afterwards.
Sure. So a sample of the breastfeeding messages are right here. So we do, and anybody is welcome to have a look at these also. In the FTP, this is just a snapshot of a few of them, but in the FTP, we provide all of the messages that have now been vetted by dozens of WICs, vetted by National WIC Association, looked at by USDA, HRSA. I mean, these messages have been utilized and thought through and rehashed, edited over the years. But they're in the FTP. You can click on and view them. Also, when we get started, what happens is that if it's the Breastfeeding Peer Counselor program that we're starting you on, out of the box, you have all of those educational messages ready to use with the prenatal or the postpartum. we also give you those messages to edit and change and make whatever changes you want. And you can either edit them yourselves by going to the actual message track that is under the reminders tab. You can just go and edit whatever ones you want, or you can send us a hard copy of your edited messages, and you can even edit the frequencies of when those messages get delivered. You can have Q&A that determines what month they're in or what week they're in, and then send messages based on where they're at with their pregnancy or where they're at postpartum, so that you're sending messages that are hypersensitive to exactly where they're at, which is also wonderful and a great way to be more tailored, right? The more tailored you can be, this is the population that expects it, right? This group that are coming into WIC services now, they just expect it. They expect to be able to text back. They expect to be able to have conversations. And they also expect that it's going to be tailored, that you're not going to send them a random text off topic that doesn't have something to do with them.
And you can easily add nutrition messages. It doesn't have to be just breastfeeding. That's just mainly what we use it for now. Could be any.
Right. Right. It can be, yep, you can set up groups of automated messages that are just all nutrition, your own set of messages that is your special group. You can have automated messages for class reminders, right? A lot of WICs are supporting weekly classes and sending out a text just reminding on a weekly basis that they've got that class. It's just super helpful. And then being able to converse about it or ask questions about it. It's kind of augmenting your classes, the education that's happening with these text encounters. And these text encounters can be counted as educational contacts. They're two-way exchanges back and forth. It's the same as if they were to make a phone call and speak with you on the phone. It's just they're having a text conversation instead. Okay, we are going to open it up for questions now. Meg is available. She's still online. She's going to be right here with me. Please type in your question, and then we'll answer it the best we can.
Yeah, you have a few in there already to start with.
I do. I see that. Okay, so the first question is that a phone call can cost as much as $20. So that's Consumer Reports, where that data came from. It's Consumer Reports that looks at contact centers and contact centers that have live help piece, that troubleshoot with individuals, work through problems, technical difficulties, things like that. So Consumer Reports finds that those phone conversations can cost as much as $20 versus your text encounters don't exceed 80 cents, right? So tremendous cost savings there. And that's a long conversation, how you would get up to 80 cents. That's liberally saying that that's how much an encounter would cost, because that's more consistent with 100 messages, 50 messages incoming and 50 messages outgoing, something like that. Your live encounters and how WIC trends is much fewer than that. Good. Okay, confidentiality. So, Meg, did you want to speak about confidentiality, how that has been addressed over the years?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So funny, when we started, it wasn't as much of a factor as it is now. Yeah, we started and our public health department didn't have systems in place and didn't even, would speak, and that wasn't the issue was trying to get administration to allow anything. And then, different systems have come along, and I've learned a lot about what long codes are, which are phone numbers, which are not secured, versus this opt-in system, which is 100% secured with a short code. And a big example in our area, it says like text this number to ER, for wait times. That's an example of opt-in. I have Subway, I have CVS, I have, my dentist, all secured systems that can't be spammed or, they're all totally secured. So our public health department has reviewed us they're so concerned about HIPAA, and it's completely secured. I mean, we're not texting phone to phone. This is a completely secured system. So I've now become a HIPAA expert in my county, which I find interesting. And just everywhere I go, that seems to be the concern right now, is the HIPAA violations and confidentiality and all this information. And it's quite the concern. But like I said, USDA has looked at us, California State WICs looked at us, our counties looked at us, and it's everywhere I speak. That's a main part of my talk now. Is it's completely secured. It's an opt-in system. It's not a long code like a phone number, which is not secured. If you have a texting system and you're using phones, it's not secured. So I've learned a lot in recent years, and proud to be part of the system that was already secured, and I didn't realize that was an issue in the beginning. So
yeah, and just to add to that, so if it's a 10-digit number, which is referred to as a digital long code, just a few quick facts. They don't know where those numbers come from. They're not provisioned on the carrier gateways. They are often associated with spamming, meaning that you can get them virtually free. The software providers that have them, they get them for virtually free. But the downside is that they can't guarantee delivery because they're not using the carrier gateways to process those messages. And they are not provisioned by the carriers. So if the carriers find out that they're using those digital long codes with an application, they'll deactivate or block it. And so you might, and then all of those numbers are recycled. So you might inherit a number that was used for spamming, and then you're now going to use it for appointment reminders or some other thing, or conversations or something like that. So just be very careful. Those digital long codes are absolutely not secure, and they are not provisioned with the carriers. Okay, another question is, just one moment, please. Another question is the service or is the application integrated? So we offer a full API integration option. So we've developed all of our APIs to be fully integrated with any database system. So if you have questions about whether or not your system is integrated, just go ahead and you can reach out to us at info@PreventionPaysText.com or support@PreventionPaysText.com, and we'll let you know. If not, you can put us in touch with your database provider, and we'll get in touch with them and provide them with our API documentation. So all of the work that we need to do to be integrated is done. It would just be somebody connecting up to us or us helping them connect to us. So there is a, let me see here, trying to interpret this question. Entered into the message. Okay, so the appointment reminder piece, I showed a demonstration, a sample of an appointment reminder going out, but that's actually an uploaded piece with an Excel spreadsheet, and we substitute the columns of information into the text message so it can be personalized. You can substitute the name of the client, the date, the location, whatever you want. You create the custom templates, you create, and then we help you with your Excel spreadsheet so that it's super simple to do on a weekly basis or however frequently you want to run your appointment reminders. And then you would just have somebody online that would be able to respond to questions as they pop up. You can have automated responses, go back to responses, telling them to call you or something like that. We don't recommend that. We, of course, recommend using texting all the way through because that's going to be preferred among your clients. But if you absolutely can't, you can have automated messages going back to those responses, letting them know they have to contact you some other way. Okay, so texting through Google Voice, great question. So that is not secure. That's an example, and Google will come out and tell you that. It's actually printed on their website. If you search secure and Google Voice. If you do HIPAA security and Google Voice, you'll find, and they come out and say it. They're using digital long codes. They're actually winding down that part of their service or that part of their API. At some point, they're going to eliminate completely Google Voice as a service that they support. And you know, it's been used for largely spamming. And if you're familiar with Google Voice, you've seen that. If you put your own number in and texted with your own number, your own personal mobile number, you've exposed your own number to spamming. So definitely not a secure way to use texting. And yes, it's logging in, it's going to an application, but that's the extent of what you would be doing as far as security. I guess moving it away from a mobile phone, your personal phone, it would probably be better than that. You said that a two-way text exchange would count as a secondary educational contact. Up to the individual state WIC office to decide. Wouldn't that be? Is that up to Meg? Is that up to the individual WIC office to decide whether or not text conversations are educational contacts?
Sure. Yeah, it definitely could be a state. Every state's a little different. We're allowed to count contacts by texting for a peer counselor program as long as it's a conversation. If it's a yes, no, that doesn't count. But a conversation where questions were answered and enough questions are answered for the database to answer the questions, then it counts as a contact for peer counselor in California. We've gotten the okay to do text classes, you know, from our local regional person. I'm not sure if it's quite the state thing, but we can do education through the texting. We do prefer to talk to them sometimes if it's a class, but we're trying to meet their needs wherever they're at. So we do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a lot of the conversational texting has just basically come out of that need, the need to meet them where they're at. And so that's what the texting software permits you to do, is do exactly that. Meet your clients where they're at and enable them to communicate with you in a way that's going to be safe, secure, off personal phones in a software system that is provisioned for texting and group texting, conversational texting, any ways that you're going to use it. Okay, guys, we have some more questions. I'm going to export these questions into an Excel spreadsheet, and personally, I'll speak with Meg. We'll go ahead and answer each one of them to make sure that we get answers to all your questions. But we are coming up on the hour, and we said we were going to stop right then and there.
One last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When it's listed, do they all have cell phones? No, they do not use cell phones, because that's not. They'd have to go into the web-based system. They are on their computer, nicely typing back, and it goes from the WIC staff member's computer to the participant's cell phone back to the computer on a web-based program. So they are not using cell phones. Right.
So your staff are on the system. They're logging into PreventionPays text. They're in something that would look much like this, right? It would be your location title up here, and then all of your clients' phone numbers here. This is a demo site, so you don't have to worry about this. And all of your client data here, all of the information about their phone number, right? This is how you would be interacting, though. You wouldn't be using phones at that point. And so this gets the communication away from personal phones, or away from, even if you've got, phones that you purchased for staff members as part of your WIC budget, it's on a phone. That phone could be lost. That phone could be jeopardized in some way. And it's simply not a good model, a sustainable model. And in a pinch, it gets the job done. But I mean, any kind of group texting, any kind of appointment reminders, any kind of scaling up and needing to converse with multiple people at one time, you're just going to bump into issues with that. And then also, you're just not in any kind of a secure environment when you're using personal handsets.
Yep. And yes, this is recorded, right?
Yes.
Jonathan, last question.
Absolutely. recorded, and we're going to provide everybody with a link to review this in its entirety. Okay, guys. If I missed anybody or we missed anything, like I said, we're going to reach back around and email you. And then otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed this session. We tried to cover as much as we could in as little time as we had. This is really, though, a 2 or 3 session webinar. You know, there's just so many things that we can talk about. The appointment reminders and conversational texting alone, that Appointment Reminders Plus is a whole webinar in itself. All right, guys, thank you much and have a good, yep.
Great questions, thank you.
Great questions, thank you much. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, Meg, so much for your time.
Anytime.
All right, bye-bye.